Hi, everyone, and welcome to a special Q&A recording of The Good House, part of our gala presentation program at the 46th Toronto International Film Festival. I'm Joanna Vicente, Executive Director and co-head of TIFF. A big welcome to directors, screenwriters Maya Forbes and Wallace Wolodarski, who joined us along with Sigourney Weaver and Kevin Kline in this story of a brash realtor who rekindles a romance with an old flame. While this year continues to be challenging for many, I am happy that we can be together virtually to talk about The Good House. So let's get started. Maya and Wallace, what inspired you to adapt the novel?
Go ahead, dear.
Well, we loved the central character, Hildy Good. We loved her voice. She had a real, she had an amazingly dry wit, and she was dealing with some really big issues. And we were really drawn to the way the book played with the audience, the reader, I would say. And we felt like that would translate to the screen in an interesting way in terms of the issues that Hildy is dealing with, and bringing the audience in on her side as sort of a co-conspirator or a friend.
Yeah, I would say that for us, point of view is always a very big way into a project, and this one had a very strong central point of view, so that really drew us to it.
And you've collaborated in other films. You co-wrote 2 other films. Can you talk a little bit about how you work together and how do you collaborate?
Well, we're married, so we've collaborated in many ways, including dinners, children, mortgages, etc. So we have a very symbiotic relationship. Our tastes are very aligned, and so we've written many movies together, and this is the second time we've directed together. So it just kind of flows very easily. Any conversations or arguments that might happen, which are rare, but when they do happen long before anyone can see us in the script process. So yeah, we want to look good. You want to get out there and look good in front of people.
I never thought of having an argument ever. They had slightly different focuses, but they never. I was actually worried about that, Joanna, because I thought, oh, great. Wally's going to tell me one thing, Maya's going to tell me the opposite. I'll have to burst into 2 pieces to try to please them both. But in fact, they were very, very aligned on what they were after.
I just always observed one or the other slightly behind the other one, giving me a direction and just rolling their eyes.
Oh.
I knew to take everything.
Troublemaker. Yes. But I think we're both also very drawn to character, and that's where we start. So this novel was also populated. It was a very interesting world to us, a world we're familiar with. I'm from Massachusetts. I grew up in Massachusetts, and it was populated with a lot of great characters that were very interesting to us as well. So it just felt like a total world.
Great. So it's also a reunion for Sigourney and Kevin. You worked together on 2 films, Dave and the Ice Storm. What was it like to get back together on this film?
Sigourney?
Well, I have to say that I've enjoyed every time I've worked with Kevin, and we have done also an evening of Shakespeare sonnets together and other various things. But as many times also as I've seen Kevin playing, King Lear and Pirate or whatever, I really feel Frank the Garbage Man is one of his most delicious creations. And the relationship we get to have in this, which I feel is it seemed very real, and I don't know, something that I think a lot of people can identify with. I just felt it was just so much fun this time, and more fun than ever to work together, because we've endured so many different shows, and this show is a pleasure to work with in every way, but especially I think in this romance, that Hildy sort of backs into with great trepidation, but for all kinds of reasons. But
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, I concur completely. It's always a joy.
He can hardly spit it out.
The journey with Sigourney is a joy. Oh Jesus! It's I've seen too many of these Q&As. I know how I'm supposed to start, but just too well. Look, Sigourney and I, they keep putting whoever they are, they keep putting us together because obviously there's a sexual chemistry that's just you can't avoid it. Try as we might. Sigourney has always looked up to me, and I've tried to teach her everything I could. And kind of so every time I work with her, it's kind of a masterclass in acting, which I'm doing for Sigourney's benefit because she went to Yale and I went to Juilliard. I'm joking, of course, but we do have an arbitrarily competitive relationship, having gone to 2 different acting schools. We'll find anything to compete about and just tease each other about. And that's part of the fun of it. We don't take each other too seriously. And I mean, we do the work and all that, but we enjoy being with one another and amuse each other, or at least I amuse Sigourney. And what can I say? It's always a joy. Just to refer back to the first cliche, the journey has been a joy with Sigourney, and I look forward to ending it. I mean, doing it again.
Well, I mean, just from our perspective, one of the very exciting things was that there was a familiarity and a joking and a teasing relationship that fit very perfectly with what we wanted out of our characters.
I meant to say that. Yes, correct.
And I will say, Kevin does do something I don't feel like I've seen you do before. I mean, this role is really something different, and it's amazing, the transformation from what you're doing right now to Frank.
To the garbage man.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It was really a phenomenal performance and really exciting.
Yes, I'm more ethereal, I think. He's more earthly.
He got to something deep in you, Kevin. Something deep in you. He got to something deep in you.
Yeah, I had to go deep to find
Deep bins.
So talk about going deep, Sigourney. It's such an incredible performance. Really, true pleasure to watch on screen. You've captured both the endearing and merciless qualities of Hildy. How did you prepare for the role?
Oh, goodness. Well, I was so fortunate to have this script that was just so alive to me, with her humor and her take on other human beings and on what's going on in the world. She's so funny. She's so upfront, and so I think the humor was just just lifted my wings, and also I think Hildy is, to me, so reminds me of so many people today, sort of fighting to keep their position as they get older, and to not lose all they've accomplished to newer rivals. And I just felt that what she was after was something that a lot of people were kind of dealing with now, feeling that they were that the world was moving on without them, and feeling that rage and frustration. I found Hildy just delightful company to be with, and it's interesting because I really, really wanted her to have a few glasses of wine every night, especially as I've thought back, all through COVID. I think that the world is filled with people having a nip, and it was an interesting thing because it wasn't really until the the story continued as we shot it, that even I, as the actor, thought, yes, maybe 2 bottles of wine at a sitting is too much. I don't know. And so it was fun to explore all those things through the lens of this woman who's been dumped by her husband for a gay man and who had a difficult childhood, so supporting everyone, getting attacked by everyone, and coming out, sort of swinging.
But still, I think, yeah. I was just going to say the thing with alcoholism or with acting, our capacity for self-delusion is boundless and joyful always. But we, and I think that's what so much of thematically the movie treats our capacity for deluding ourselves and not seeing what's right in front of us. Mm-hmm. And admitting to it, and hearkening to it.
I think one of the things I was going to say that one of the things that we really related to is the way that Hildy has built all of these survival skills, coping mechanisms, but not working anymore for her. They've gotten her very far, and they're no longer working. And I think that's an interesting place to be when you have to figure out how to keep going. When sort of all of your tricks that you've been using aren't working.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
On a more practical note, there was a moment in the life of the movie when we were shooting the film where this is more about character and embodying character. We were playing some music for Sigourney, and Sigourney said, "I don't like this song," and we said, "Hildy likes it." And she said, "I am Hildy." And we both went back to our director's chairs. Oh my God, we're directing Hildy now. And we really felt it, so it was a real testament to Sigourney crawling into this person and becoming the person. It was really, really an amazing sight to behold.
Yes, I was speaking for both of us about that music. But I also think one of the things that drew me to the role was this direct address, which you do often on stage, and the audience is always with you. You're saying, Jesus Christ, look at what's going on, and it's very commonly used in classical theater, and it's rarely used in film. And I had known about Fleabag. I didn't see it before I did the movie, but it was such a joy to look out in the camera and go, almost as if they were, my mates sitting at the bar, on my side as I wend my way through these various situations. All I had to do was look out, and I go like, can you believe this? It was really fun to be kind of in a conspiracy with the camera, and to get rid of that fourth wall. I just loved it. It was exciting, and these guys made it so easy for me. So I just feel like you're really with so many different aspects of this woman, seeing what she brings, publicly. She has so many personas, and then you get to sort of pull the curtains back and just there she is, herself. It was so great. What a great role, and what a great what a beautiful script it was.
Well, we owe a lot to the book was an important part of that, but we really wanted to preserve this idea of, at a certain point in the movie, you should be saying, yeah, give Hildy a break. And then you move through it to the point where it's like, Hildy, maybe you do have a kind of a problem. So that was the kind of balancing act that we worked on throughout the life of the movie.
Yes, we wanted it to be I think a lot of people have this experience of someone they care about has a drinking problem. You want them to have fun. You want them to be happy. You never know where the line is. You don't know when it's a problem, not all the time. And so we wanted to get to some of those conflicted feelings.
Kevin,
everyone
you
deserves a reward at the end of the day.
Yes, please.
Especially these days. Anyway.
So Kevin, you're one of the few people in the film who sees and still loves Hildy's many complexities. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And how did you see her character?
Yes and no. I think he's one of those not codependents. What do you call the people who go to Al-Anon, who allow their alcoholic friends to persist in their behavior and try to overlook it. So I mean, he's complicitous in that. But eventually, finally, he has to. A little too late. He has to draw the line in the sand and say that's it, and sort of takes the bull by the horn. But he's he has a history. He's never left that place. He's dug in there, and except for his time in Vietnam, which did nothing positive for his thinking. He's he allows people's crotchets and quibbles and quirks to who they are. He's very affable about it, and forgiving, and ultimately he's a solid guy. He's going to be there for her if and when she gets her stuff together. And is that answering your question in any way, Joanne?
Yes. So we have a couple of minutes left. I know that you shot in Canada, in Nova Scotia. Do you want to talk a little bit about choosing the location? The town plays such a almost a character role in the film. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you chose the location?
Well, Chester, which is where in Nova Scotia, where we shot the bulk of the film, had a long history of people coming up from New England and building houses there. And so as a result, it gave us a flavor of a place that we really were looking for. We knew when we started the movie that the town was a very important character, and Hildy and Frank are just two facets of this place. They're an important part of the place, and they all know each other, and they're all moving through it. And so it was really very much about finding a place that looked like it could be that town. And so Chester kind of delivered that to us.
Because with small towns like that, they're so on the shore, they're so beautiful. But then when you realize that living there, it can be very difficult after a while, because everybody knows you and everyone knows your business. And so it gave us all that beauty, but also the intimacy to tell a story where you're very familiar with this place and comfortable here. And also there's the discomforts of being in a small community like that.
It was such a pleasure to work with the Nova Scotia crew, many of whom were from that area, and a lot of Canadian actors too in our absolutely sensational cast. And just a pleasure to work in a small town where the people were so not only supportive, but they were like excited. They have a theater there, the Playhouse, which recently burned down, and I hear that they're rebuilding it, which is wonderful. But they were into it, and periodically we would see a sign that said, "Welcome, Good House. We're so glad you're here." And so it's funny because we were shooting in so many of these lovely old homes. The whole thing was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in terms of we were 2 minutes from the base. So we were living in the town where we were shooting. it was just, and it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been, especially at that time of year. We won't talk about the mosquitoes, will we? September and October, it was just magical there. I mean, just gorgeous. And I think all of that is in the movie, this wondrous place that Hildy came out of, that is also changing a lot. The town is changing. And so it was just a pleasure to be in Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Yes.
Thank you.